Water. It's in everything from clouds to lakes to the conflict of a movie directed by James Cameron. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there's this thing called the water cycle. And if you paid attention in your 3rd grade science class, you know about precipitation, evaporation, and condensation. But in reality, it is much more complicated. It goes evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transportation, runoff, infiltration, groundwater, and finally transpiration. Now that's a lot of Asians, but the important ones for now are runoff and groundwater. Runoff is when water that couldn't be absorbed into the soil flows into other bodies of water, and usually into the ocean. On its way, it picks up pollutants which are filtered by dirt and rocks. To understand what groundwater is, we first need to know about watersheds. To put it briefly, watersheds are areas of land that drain water into a larger body of water. Groundwater is, you guessed it, water in the ground. Surface water is also, you guessed it, water above ground, like lakes and oceans. Groundwater is stored differently though. Instead of an underground lake, it's more like little droplets of water that are stored in cracks and holes and rocks. For this reason, groundwater is a whole lot harder to get rid of pollution. Now you may be thinking, but why would we care about the rock water? Well, you should, because 40% of Americans use groundwater for all of their watery needs. You should also care about pollution because not only will it taste like a diseased foot, polluted water kills more people each year than all forms of violence combined. If you're wondering, that's about 1.8 million people per year, or the entire population of West Virginia. Now, the reason it is so easily polluted is because water is what's called a universal solvent. Now, in English, that means water can dissolve pretty much anything, including plastic, agricultural waste, and by that I mean feces and pesticides, oil, and sometimes even radioactivity. And in French, it means this. There are 2 types of pollution, but for the sake of time, I'm going to briefly explain them. Point source pollution is when someone directly pollutes the water, like dumping oil and plastic into the oceans. When lots of plastic in the ocean clumps together, it makes a trash island, or a garbage patch. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't look like a vacation to the Bahamas to me. Non-point source pollution is indirect, like motor oil going down a storm drain and into the ocean. Now, when our dirty water reaches the untainted water of Canada, this is called transboundary pollution, because water doesn't care about passports. I'm sure Canada does not appreciate the chemicals and heavy metals we've added to their water. Also, when an area that's really polluted has just the right conditions for algae and algae bloom forms. No, it is not a flower made of algae. It's actually just a ton of algae growing in a polluted area. And you may think, well, what's so bad about algae? They're just little blobby boys that couldn't hurt a fly. And to that I say you're wrong, because algae are murderers. Kind of. Let me explain. So algae likes to grow and grow and grow. When the algae population increases, the supply of oxygen decreases. Eventually, most of the oxygen is used by the algae and kills the other organisms in the area. As you can probably tell, the fish wouldn't be very happy about that. So what can we do to make the fish happy? Well, first of all, bust out your hydro flask and your metal straws because the Visco Girl trend is back! Ska. No, I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, using metal straws and reusable water bottles will help plastic from getting into the ocean and killing the turtles. Another thing you can do is reduce, reuse, and recycle your plastic items, along with properly disposing of chemicals, non-biodegradable items, and pet waste. With all of that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll maybe, cause it's the end of the school year, see you next time.